Hello and welcome to The Witcher, Facts Behind the Monsters Part 2. A few weeks ago we started a little mini-series completely devoted to the lore surrounding the creatures found within the Witcher series. More importantly, these videos exist to look at the beasts encountered or simply named, and tries to figure out if they have any real-world counterparts in both mythology and cryptid tales. I promised to continue this series if enough interest was shown in this topic, and, as usual, you didn't disappoint. So, today we are venturing back to this world simply known as the Continent, and hunting the truth behind these monsters. As stated in the previous video, if you are not familiar with the Witcher universe, then I will give you a brief overview. The Witcher is based in a medieval fantasy realm where all types of beasts roam about, not too dissimilar from tales of knights and dragons. In fact, both of those things exist in these stories as well. Due to these beasts causing problems in the land, people seek out the help of a group of humans collectively known as Witchers, who are modified by potions and rigorous trials. They function very much like bounty hunters, but their main target and expertise is all different types of monsters. Their name doesn't imply that they are witches, although they are capable of utilizing protection signs in their battles. They are stronger, faster, more resilient, and can live longer than normal humans. However, a good portion of their skill set involves understanding the lore and weaknesses behind each beast and utilizing the proper blade oils and potions needed for each specific battle. The main character of this realm is named Geralt of Rivia. He has a love interest who is a sorceress named Yennefer, and a young girl who is very much like a daughter to him named Ciri. The Witcher started out in book form, and then moved on to video games, and then to a live-action series on Netflix. As was the case with our previous video, I'll be primarily focusing on the creatures found in the Netflix series, since I haven't read the books yet, and have only played the last two games. For those following the show, today's video will finish off Season 1. With a slight recap, in case you missed it, our previous video talked about the Kikimora, the Striga, the Sylvan, and the Djinn. The next being would be called simply a Doppler. Now, there is a bit of a discrepancy here when you look into the lore of the show and the rest of the media. In the show, the unnamed Doppler, nicknamed the Adonis, is depicted as being the size of a normal human, having bluish-gray skin, is covered in weird lumps and bumps, and more importantly is very aggressive. In all other media, they are said to be rather short in stature, have a long nose, yellow eyes, elongated limbs and tongue, and are generally considered kind and gentle creatures. A part of the description that does match with the TV version is that the skin is said to resemble unshapen clay, which I would assume the lumpy nature does fit. We come across another discrepancy within the lore itself of this being's unique ability. True to its name, the Doppler is capable of changing its form to anyone that it comes in contact with. This obviously includes mimicking the voice and certain mannerisms of the original person. I know I was going to keep with the show here, but it is important to note that in the books and games, the Doppler is said to be able to transform into any person or animal as long as they are the same body weight. However, they have been seen transforming into small animals, children, and full adults, such as Geralt himself. So either their weights range greatly, or this is a mistake in the lore. It is stated that their transformation isn't merely an illusion, but rather a complete physical metamorphosis. Not only do they copy a person's voice and mannerisms, but they are said to also copy their behavior as well. This can be done without observing these things, but it is said to be from pure instinct. For all purposes, the Doppler version is an exact copy of the original person, and there isn't any way to tell the two apart. Something really interesting is that they can also make their skin transform into clothing and other objects such as weaponry, although they lose all form if they lose contact with the Doppler. It is said that anything silver can disrupt the creature's ability to remain in its form. Now, when it comes to a real-world, lore-based counterpart, we find that this appears to be a mix between a couple things. In The Witcher, they are frequently referred to as changelings. Personally, I don't think this is meant to reference the Celtic and Germanic creatures called the same thing. Rather, I think the word is used to describe what a Doppler does. It can change into things. However, the real-world changelings do match the description of the Doppler. Depending on the lore, they can either be fairies or demons, but in others they are described as simply being troll-like. This would fit in with the long nose, yellow eyes, bald head, and extended limb description of the Witcher version. The problem is the changeling didn't really mimic a person. The trolls, fairies, and demons would steal a baby from its home and replace it with their own child to be raised by humans. It is assumed that this baby does take on human attributes to fit in, but even within the lore, as the child grows, its true form starts to show itself. Probably the most fitting example for what the Doppler may actually be from comes from the name. The creature from Germanic lore known as a doppelganger, which means double walker, is more than likely the source of this being's existence. According to the earliest story, a doppelganger is said to be a spirit of sorts that normally shows up looking exactly as the person viewing it, and is a premonition of death. Following this, stories emerged about a creature that isn't a spirit, but an actual being. Typically, it is thought to be an interdimensional presence that normally exists with malicious intent. They are said to find a person they want to mimic, kill them, and take over their life. They do this in order to feed off the life energies of the person's loved ones and friends. Once in human form, they are undetectable, and it is said that many family members don't even realize it isn't the same person. However, there are many stories about such creatures where they can't quite mimic a person's mannerisms or behaviors completely. This leads the family to question if their loved one is the same person or not. The next creature has led the Witcher community into a great debate. In the show, Geralt and his traveling companion Yoren come across the battle site at night where there are many corpses laying on the ground. It is at this point that they realize the area is swarming with a group of human-like, yellow-eyed beings that can burrow underground and are very aggressive. All the while, the Witcher is capable of smelling their putrid scent. The problem is that the monsters shown actually seems to combine two creatures found within the Witcher lore. However, it describes only one from the real-world stories. For the show, a debate wages if they are simply ghouls, or are they a monster known as a necker. Let's look at the information we have for both. The necker are part of the ogrid family or ogres, and are a bipedal humanoid type of being. They are known to live in damp valleys and dark forests. They burrow underground and construct lairs with interconnecting passageways. While typically weak alone, they are known to ambush their prey with up to 10 others helping. They surround their target and slice at them with their sharp claws. Generally, these monsters prefer live prey. This description seems to fit in with the TV show, but let's look at the ghouls. They are thought to originally be humans who took to eating human flesh and transformed into these foul-looking beasts as they spent more time in dark crypts. They normally are seen walking around on all fours, but can walk bipedally and have the appearance of a rotting skeleton. They have pale, mottled gray skin, a hole where the nose once was, ape-like arms, and a strong jaw capable of cracking bones. Ghouls roam about in packs, but are known to live in cemeteries, crypts, burial mounds, and underground around battlefields. They come out to feed at night, typically with a full moon, and feast on rotting corpses. It should be noted that they will attack live prey, including humans and livestock, if other food can't be found. A group of them will attack the living, all the while trying to knock them down and eating them alive. After looking at the scene again, they are certainly in a damp forest, can burrow underground, and are using ambush tactics. However, on further review, they are all shown walking on all fours, are on a battlefield, the lighting appears to be a full moon, they are trying to knock Geralt down rather than claw at him, and look very skeleton-like. I would say we are seeing ghouls rather than neckers. Regardless of what they are, they certainly are derived from the aptly named Ghoul found in many regions including Europe and the Middle East. These beings were said to be once human but became cursed after eating human flesh. Frequently they spend most of their time around graveyards digging up fresh corpses, but will also attack the unwary traveler. Not only do they make their homes in graveyards, but they are thought to make burrows underground or live in abandoned basements of homes. The males are known as ghouls, while the females are called ghoulas. What is different is that in Arabic lore, these beings are capable of transforming into an animal shape, which is typically that of a hyena. Once they kill their target, it is said that they can assume their appearance after consuming the brain. Here we go with doppelgangers again. Ghouls are known to kidnap children, steal money, and drink people's blood. In a rare twist, one story claims that a particular female ghoul could appear as a beautiful woman and would lure men into her home where she proceeded to eat them. Unlike most stories, ghouls appear to show a fair amount of intelligence, since they are said to light small fires alongside a road with the goal of attracting travelers. Descriptions vary, with the original stories claiming that they were more human-like but hairy, while others even included a canine-like muzzle. Interestingly, other lore states that they have human-like bodies but hooves for feet. The European version removes the hair and states it has pale, rubbery skin. They are said to be able to walk bipedally, but prefer to stay on all fours. This is one of the key signs for spotting one, since they state that if you see a human standing in the distance that quickly drops to all fours and runs away, that is more than likely a ghoul. With that description, I can honestly think of quite a few other cryptids that would act the same way. Another telltale sign is that they are notorious for giving off a terrible smell, not only due to their meal of choice, but their skin itself is said to carry many diseases. What is fairly odd is that with the ghouls from Arab lore, some actually consider them a subspecies of the ever-popular jinn. The final creature in this season that I want to talk about is a real oddity, known as a Hereka. This being has a few different forms with a few variances. The one seen in the show would be considered a juvenile, since they are said to be around human size at this age. Once they grow to adulthood, they can be massive, being 12 feet long and 7.5 feet tall. Due to their increase in size, they are normally seen walking on all fours at this stage of life. These creatures make their home in mountainous regions, but have been known to graze in fields. They have a cat-like appearance with a long bushy tail, 3 sharp claws on each toe, and yellow eyes. Their skin is yellow or beige in color, is very thick, and they are sparsely covered in long hairs. Their diet changes as they grow, with the young mostly feeding on plants and mice. The adults will eat venison, sheep, cows, and in some stories, even humans. They are seen as generally harmless if they aren't hungry, but even if encountered hungry, it is said simply feeding it will cause it to move on. However, if no food is available, they will proceed to trample a person's head and chest and then devour them. Outside of their strength, they also possess skin that is so tough that it is rather difficult to pierce, and they are capable of running extremely fast. Not only this, but their saliva and waste creates a poisonous gas. In the lore, these beings are near extinction for unknown reasons, but some claim a popular recipe which utilized Hereka meat greatly hurt the population. This particular creature has left many baffled as to what its root being may have been. Some have noted the similarities between it and various legends of giant lemurs found in Madagascar. The only one that sort of fits into this would be the habibi. It was described as being the size of a large sheep, had a white spotted coat, a canine-like muzzle, long ears, and extremely large eyes. While not much is known about this cryptid's habits, they are said to be nocturnal. The only other possibility within this range would be the giant eye. The problem is that I feel a lot of people try to find links to this beast based only on its depiction in the TV show. From reading its description, I personally feel that it more than likely has its roots in a creature found in India and Malaysia. This would be the rarely talked about were-tiger, or harimau jadian. Much like the name implies, this is a tiger that has a human-like body. Weirdly, it sort of fits in with the Witcher lore, since their population is said to be very minute. Stories vary, with some stating that much like werewolves, they are human and can transform into this creature, while others state that they are always in this form. They are said to have hidden villages set up to live in, and they use human hair to thatch their roof, use human skin for walls, and human bones for structural support. With all that said, it shouldn't be a shock to learn that they do eat humans, as well as livestock. Even as such, some view these creatures as protectors, and tying back in with the Witcher lore, they are said to be able to transform into these beasts by fasting. This all may be a bit of a stretch, but is the closest I could find to something that is even remotely similar. As a bit of a final note, since we are officially leaving Season 1 of the show, dragons are a creature that are found in The Witcher. I decided to not really go into them much, since their description and lore is pretty much exactly the same as real-world counterparts. Within all media, Geralt has a code where he won't hunt a dragon, since they are intelligent beings that generally try to avoid humans. I also should mention that in this world, four-legged dragons and two-legged wyverns exist, and the latter are not considered part of the same family of creature. They are considered ornithosaurs, which are beings that are said to possess both bird and reptile traits. As I end this, I hope you enjoyed it and are willing to see this series continue. I can certainly see a part 3 in the future sometime. Remember to keep voting for which state you would like to see next in our Cryptid by State series. I can tell you that next week we will be traveling to the Aloha State, which is, obviously, Hawaii. If you haven't yet done so, do please consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this. Also, it would be greatly appreciated if you share my videos with someone you know who may enjoy this type of genre. With that, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.